The PC gaming space has absolutely erupted over the last decade or so. Like, it's always been a lot bigger than the mainstream has given it credit for, but it's actually nuts how much the PC gaming space has grown over the last 10-ish years, especially post-2020. The PC hosts the most gamers out of any main gaming platform by a landslide, and basically every major publisher in the industry is bending over backwards to try and make a name for themselves over here, which is why Microsoft and Sony have both started sending their first-party IP to the PC. It's why companies like EA and Ubisoft have done their best to carve out their own Steam alternatives, absolute failures as they've been. But every now and again, the console diehards feel threatened by the PC flexing its muscles, and they have to start spreading around a story that kind of makes the consoles look relevant to the future of gaming, but in reality, it's all just a farce, and they're all just desperate. Case in point, this post from Zubitech, a popular Twitter page that's mainly known for being an absolute PlayStation shill and completely fake insider that is only taken seriously by other PlayStation shills and fake insiders. This dude spends his days doing his absolute best to seem like a trustworthy source of information and like a knowledgeable tech insider, but his entire existence on this platform is just meant to hoist up the PlayStation and demean the competition. And the other day, he posted a supposed report of Capcom's 2024 fiscal year game sales broken down by platform. According to Zubitech, Capcom in fiscal year 2024 sold 3+ million games on the PlayStation family of consoles, 1.2 million games on Nintendo consoles, 206,000 games on the Xbox, and a measly 44,000 games on the PC. And look me in the eyes right now. Anyone taking this post and these numbers as canon deserves to be mocked across time and space, and there are several reasons why. First of all, you're claiming that in Capcom's entire 2024 fiscal year, the entire fiscal year, they only sold 3 million copies of games on the PlayStation? That's it? Dragon's Dogma 2 sold 3 million copies on its own in 2024, multi-platform, but also on top of Dragon's Dogma 2 in this fiscal year, Capcom has also released the Dead Rising remake, they released the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, they released a couple Ace Attorney games, there's a bunch of people buying Resident Evil games, there's a bunch of people buying DMC games, Street Fighter games. You really think only 3 million copies of Capcom games were sold on PlayStation in 2024? Scratch that. Look at this data again. You really think Capcom, as an entire company across all platforms, sold only 4.5 million copies of games this year? Because that's what these numbers roughly add up to. 4.5 million across everything. Zuby, you need to try harder. This is plainly wrong. But you know how else I know this is wrong? Because according to this data, you think the PC only sold 44,000 copies of games this year, which is fucking stupid on its own because Dragon's Dogma 2 is believed to have sold over 1 million copies minimum on the PC during its launch window. But you think the PC only sold 44,000 copies across the entire publisher? While PlayStation sold 3 million plus. Also, side note, why does the 3 million here have a plus next to the number? Like, why does every platform have an exact number, but PlayStation is just an estimation? My boy, that's not how sales breakdowns work. You either know the numbers or you don't. But you say the PC sold 44,000 copies, but just a couple weeks ago, Capcom themselves confirmed that the PC is actually buying more digital copies of their games than every other platform combined. The PC is buying over 50% of all digital Capcom games sold. Do you really think the PC only bought 44,000 copies of games in the entire fiscal year, while the PlayStation bought 3+ million? Also, if you go to Dragon's Dogma 2 on Steam, it has over 65,000 reviews. It also peaked at over 100,000 concurrent players. How do you take this 44,000 as canon? Are you snorting Chick-fil-A sauce? This is so plainly wrong. And what's Zuby's source, you ask? Oh, don't worry, he doesn't give one. He doesn't even try to cite a source. He just gives numbers, and that's it. Now, if you're wondering where Zuby actually got these numbers from, he didn't just pull these numbers out of his butt, but let me do his job for him and tell you what his source is. Because his sources, from what I can tell, are this report about physical shipped copies of Capcom games in the fiscal year. Not sales, not total sales, shipped physical copies. But this dude took the data of shipped physical copies and passed it off as the entire platform sales breakdown for the entire company. And you know who knows they're wrong about this? Zuby knows he's wrong about this. Because if you go to his hidden replies, this motherfucker who calls himself a serious, trustworthy gaming news source was hiding replies of anyone who showed the actual stats. You living heap of feces. But you know who took these numbers seriously and actually tried to console war with them? Way too many people. So we're gonna make fun of everyone who tried to take Zuby Tech as an actual source and use them in the console war, because not only are these numbers entirely not accurate to the Capcom fiscal year as a whole, but also, again, just a couple weeks ago, Capcom themselves said otherwise. The PC is selling more than all of the consoles combined in terms of copies. If you really think these numbers are canon, I say it again, you deserve to be mocked across time and space, and I'm here to do it to you. JRPG Me says 44K PC, quote, gamers are pathetic. Well, what's more pathetic? 44,000 people buying a game? Or you actually thinking that only 44,000 people bought a game? Again, Dragon's Dogma 2 peaked at over 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. That means minimum, assuming everyone who ever bought a copy of Dragon's Dogma 2 bought it on day one and all of them logged in at the exact same time and then not another single copy of the game was ever sold, assuming that's what happened, this number is still drastically wrong. Because even in that scenario, that definitely didn't happen. In that scenario, over 100,000 people bought the game. One game. But God forbid we use our fucking brains on the internet these days. Bryce the Oddball says, y'all swear up and down that PC is such this vital market. Well, Capcom thinks we're a vital market because we're buying more games than you. But, you know, don't let reality get in the way of your fifis. T.O. Grimm says only PlayStation and Nintendo users support this industry, which is why every major publisher is trying to get their games on PC. And that's also why the majority of major publishers continue to work with Microsoft. PlayStation and Nintendo are the only companies that support the industry. Their user bases are the only ones that support the industry, which is why there's a giant world of industry besides those two companies, right? Oh, you people are so smart, so intelligent you all are. At Dark Fury says, never believe PC cucks when they claim they buy games. 90% of them are just pirates. They have no say in what companies should do when they barely support the products. Which is funny because every single technological advancement on the consoles, like every single one of them, is just them catching up to what PCs have had for years. The PC is also by far the biggest market for games with the most users, the most diverse group of users in terms of games they're playing, what kinds of games they're playing, what kinds of tech they're running. The PC has the largest library of legacy games and games from previous generations, and we're the best at preserving games, but, you know, we don't support games. We don't support the products. Our community is full of modders continuing to support older games that the console community has no shits given about in the modern day, but, you know, PC gamers, they just don't support games because of this one obviously fake list of numbers I read. Like, you guys are like Facebook grandmas at this point. You know that, right? You're looking at numbers that are plainly and on their face completely wrong, and you're just running with it. You guys are literally Facebook grandmas. And you think it's a W. Hey you! Would you like to be part of the Doofus Club? The Doofus Club! It's my channel membership club, so you can be a doofus alongside Groovy Banana, the Scrum Master, Crumpet Cun, Curtin Allenspack, Robs C, Veg, and Billet 310 Char. Do you want to be a doofus alongside them? Then head on down to the Join Channel button and sign up for $1 a month. You'll get emojis, you'll get shoutouts and videos, you'll get that little star thing next to your name so everyone knows how much of a doofus you are.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
So join the Doofus Club today, because a house full of doofuses divided against itself... Wait. Fuck, I had the joke. Hang on. Because a house divorced is... I said divided and doofus at the same time. A hoose... Fuck, okay. Oh, God. Okay, never mind. Just join the channel. Allie says, PC Master Race, what happened? Oh, it's not free? Okay, laughing, crying. Again, this is physical shipped copies. They shipped 44,000 physical PC copies. Those are probably like the collector's editions of stuff because most companies don't really release physical boxed copies of PC games anymore, which I think is ironic because I think a lot of PC gamers would buy them if they were available. It's not our fault they're not available. Like, there's most certainly less of a market for physical games on the PC. I'll never deny that. But that doesn't mean there's no market, and I really wish publishers would stop acting like there was no market. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever a physical collector's edition of a PC game goes on sale online, do they not always sell out? Like, immediately? My brain goes to Starfield, and to Doom Eternal, and to Baldur's Gate, all of which had physical PC collector's editions, and all of which sold out. I'm not saying you should be putting PC games into, like, GameStops and Targets, but as a PC gamer, it'd be nice if you gave me more physical games. I'd be happy to pay you extra money for a boxed copy of the game. That's just me. TLDR, it's not PC gamers' fault that Capcom didn't ship more physical copies of the games, because we're buying the shit out of the digital ones anyways. Like, trust me, the relationship between Capcom and PC gamers is perfectly acceptable. Akut says this is probably for physical copies. It is. However, it doesn't change the fact that pirating is a huge issue for developers when releasing games on PC. I'm gonna keep saying it. PC gamers are buying more Capcom games than console gamers. I've said this a million times, but like, if 5% of the copies are pirated, but 95% of the copies are properly sold, Capcom's not gonna give a fuck. Most publishers won't either. That's just the way it be. You can't avoid piracy the same way you can't avoid used copies for console games. Like, I love how you guys just completely brush over that every time. There's a giant market for pre-owned games. Those don't contribute to the publisher's sales at all, but those are fine. But piracy on PC, ooh, that's different. Ooh, that's a big dastardly problem we gotta put a lot of money into. Oh, it's a reason to get off of the biggest platform as a whole. But pre-owned games, no, those are good. Those are totally fine. Like, do you guys think Capcom makes money off a pre-owned sale? Because they don't. And do you know how many people buy a pre-owned copy of a game and then go buy a proper copy? Not many of them. You know how many people will pirate a game and then buy a proper copy later? A lot more than none of them. Devonte says the way the PC guys be talking, you would think they would be number one on the list. We literally are number one on the list. What you are replying to is an obviously fake list. If you seriously think only 44,000 copies of PC games were sold the entire fiscal year, like the fucking irony of you using this fraud alert gif in response to such an obviously wrong thing. Like, what are we doing? How desperate are you? What are you gaining out of this? It's so weird. Wankonda Wan says the Gooner platform and the hand-me-down platform aren't surprising. What is surprising is the Kitty platform hitting 1 million. Gotta be Monster Hunter. Oh yeah, that's another franchise that sells fucking gangbusters on PC. I don't even know how many copies of Monster Hunter have been sold on PC. Fiscal year 2024 or otherwise. Monster Hunter is huge over here. I forgot that was a Capcom franchise. Not surprising that the PC only sold 44,000 copies. Like, I swear, open the user reviews of any Capcom game on Steam. It'll have more than 44,000 reviews. And you realize that in order to leave a review, you have to buy the fucking game. Anyone can fact check this in 2 seconds. But nobody wants to do that. You just want to take obviously fake numbers and use them as like ammo in a console war that benefits nobody. It actively does not benefit you to encourage this, but you're encouraging it regardless. What is wrong with you? Benj says, Lamau, looks like the multi-plat strategy is working so well. What's that? The most vocal crowds of Xbox and self-proclaimed gods of gaming PCMR seem to be lacking quite significantly. Oh, so the solution is not multi-platform games anymore? Is that what you're saying here? The solution to not enough multi-platform games sold is no more multi-platform games? Is that really the giant galaxy brains take you're fucking leading with? I read this obviously fake list of numbers, and I want to take it as canon, and also, multi-platform really working out for you guys. Like, you're giving your whole perspective away here, and it's the dumbest perspective on the planet. Because first of all, who gives a shit which console sells the most fucking copies of a game? Who cares? Second of all, why do you care? Why do you want games to not be multi-platform anymore? If you're a gamer, why do you want more gamers to not have access to multi-platform games? Why do you want that? Because reading this comment, that is clearly what you want. Like, you obviously have issues with the games being on Xbox and PC, but if you actually cared about games and not corporations, why should you care? What stock do you have in Capcom? Or I guess rather, what stock do you have in Sony or Nintendo, whose nuts are so far down your mouth they could play... I can't think of a joke. Moving on. Bigby Wolf says Xbox equals dead and PC equals pirating. What do they have in common? This skull and crossbones symbol. I don't know what's dumber, the fact that you actually wrote this and thought it was a winning point, or the fact that 99 people liked it and you're getting like no resistance on this. I just can't with this. I have 3 more screenshots I was going to include. I don't even know if I want to do this. This is just so boring at this point. Natsu says, damn, I have Xbox, but this is pathetic along with Master Race. Don't worry, we both did better than this. Zuby just can't fucking read, and neither can you, apparently. FGC Hitman says, it's hard to support third-party games as an Xbox owner because I'm too busy with Rise Son of Rome. I'll admit, I don't know what to say to that one. I'll admit, I'm stumped. Last one. Stoic Gamer says, bunch of moochers and a bunch of thieves. No worries, PlayStation and Nintendo will carry, but then the weirdos get mad when the devs prioritize them. Lim Fao. That's when they'll gather to destroy devs, just ruining gaming. Ew. So, just so we're clear, you think PC gamers and Xbox gamers are going to destroy devs? You think they're an irrelevant part of the industry, but also they're capable of destroying devs? And also, do you have one example of this happening? Like one singular example of PC gamers and or Xbox gamers destroying a dev studio because we didn't get prioritized? Do you have any evidence of that? Like one singular example? It just always fascinates me how desperate people are to see things their way, especially when reality is slapping them in the face with different things. Like, the world is not the way that you want it to be. There is zero evidence of the world being the way you want it to be, and the evidence that you're using as evidence that the world is the way you want it to be is plainly and verifiably wrong. But not only are you going with it, and publicly going with it, but there are so many people who are encouraging you to go with it. So I'm going to keep making fun of you, because why not? I make money off of you, and it's fun, but just fuck, dude. What is to be gained? What is to be achieved? You people are pathetic. God, okay, toodles.